So I just spent the entire weekend researching pretty much every real estate market in the United States. And in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to boil it down to my 3 favorite, in my opinion, best real estate and housing markets for the year 2021. Hey guys, Daniel here, one half of the Kwok Brothers. And well, it seems that for the last 6 months, there have been a lot of videos being released about the housing market, about what's going to happen with real estate. And there have been countless YouTube channels, one of us being included, that have made content on what is going to happen with the housing market and real estate market in the year 2021. And it seems that the room is rather divided. On one hand of the spectrum, we have the optimistic group, the individuals who will say that the glass is half full. And these individuals are saying that, well, yes, there are delinquencies. Yes, there are people who are not paying their rent or paying their mortgage, and there's defaults and there's displacements. But due to the low inventory that we have right now and the strong pool of buyers that we have today, it's going to level out and we're not going to see that much of a crash. All these doom and gloomers are, they're all doom and glooming. But you also have the other end of the spectrum where you have the doom and gloomers who are saying, well, you've got the displacements, you've got the mortgage delinquencies, and we're seeing record highs in unemployment and defaults. And, it's going to be like 2008 all over again, and things are going to crash. And, oh my gosh, there's going to be a COVID-20 and there's going to be flying dragons that are going to come and attack us. Well, maybe it is and maybe it's not, but myself, you, and pretty much every YouTuber that I've seen that made videos on this seem to at least agree to this. And that being that in the year 2021, there is at least somewhat going to be an opportunity happening for the next 12 months. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate for the year 2021, let's go ahead and cover the top 3 real estate markets and housing markets for the next 12 months. Before we go ahead and talk about those 3 markets, we got to talk about something actually even more important, is when we find that market, well, where in that market do we invest? Because, well, there's 3 different types of markets that involve in a market, right? So if you're looking at like the city of Chicago, there's the primary market, which is the actual downtown area itself. There's the secondary markets, which are the suburbs surrounding that city. And then there are the tertiary markets, which to us, that's cornfields, right? Like literally middle of nowhere. You're going to have maybe a population of 2,000 in that village, right? Or that town. Now, having said that, the closer you get to your primary market, generally the risk seems to get a little lower, right? Well, what risk are we exactly talking about? Well, simply put, the more dense a population is going to be, the more people you have in a particular area, the more valuable that real estate is going to be. And number 2, the easier it is going to be if you're a landlord to fulfill that unit, right? If one tenant leaves, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find another tenant. It's like a deck of cards, right? So I got 52 cards right here in a standard deck. Imagine this: if the good tenants, right, like the high FICO scores, they make 6 figures, they pay their rent on time, they're very cooperative. Let's say those are like your face cards, your jacks, your queens, your kings, your aces. But on the other hand of the spectrum, let's say that your less quality tenant, the ones who, they never pay their rent on time, they give you a hard time, they're very uncooperative, and they're more likely going to get evicted. Imagine those are like your 2s, 3s, and 4s, right? Obviously, if we're in a more dense populated area like Chicago or Seattle or LA, we're going to have more cards at our disposal, therefore more face cards. But on the other hand of the spectrum, right, if we're in a tertiary market where it's kind of like the middle of nowhere, we're only going to have probably 1, 2 jacks, right? In this case example, we have a lot of 3s, 2s, 4s, and 5s, but we have 1 jack. So a lot of times, right, if you're in a tertiary market, it's very difficult, right? You're going to get something like this 2 of diamonds. We don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and magically change that real quick. Now, this doesn't mean that we should all be investing in LA, Chicago, or New York. If anything, those places are probably the worst places to invest in right now because of how expensive the real estate is. But we will be judging the top 3 real estate markets for 2021 based on 3 things, and that's our criteria. Number 1 is the appreciation rate. So how fast does a value increase after you buy a piece of property? Because, well, if we're buying something, whether we're looking to invest, whether we're looking to buy and live there, we want that value to increase no matter what. So appreciation. And on top of that, we're going to also take into account population and job growth. So right now for 2021, which cities and which markets have good and sustainable job growth and population growth, and which cities also project the best in 2021 for population and job growth. And last but not least, we're going to be using rental value as our final criteria. In a case where we have to rent out the home, how much income is the property going to generate compared to the cost of acquiring the property? So without further ado, let's go ahead with number 1, which is Raleigh, North Carolina, which, by the way, guys, since 2015 had an appreciation rate of 27.9%. And right now they're actually top 10 for fastest growing city in America. And they also happen to be 10.6% higher in projected job growth than the national average. Not to mention, they also have the best rent to price ratio, meaning that you're going to get the best bang for your buck in Raleigh, North Carolina, as if the rent is going to be super high compared to what it costs to acquire the property. Matter of fact, it's the best in the nation. So overall, when I look at the appreciation, the job growth, the population growth, and also the rent to price ratio, great things to come for Raleigh, North Carolina. And number 2 on the list, guys, is Boise, Idaho, which had an 80.5% appreciation rate since 2015. Now, I know a lot of you guys might be saying, well, Daniel, doesn't that mean that we shouldn't buy properties because how values have increased and how much properties have appreciated? Yes, I hear what you're saying, but check this out. The median sales price for 2020 for Boise, Idaho was only $283,000. The national average for the median home sales price was $335,000. And not only that, according to the US Census, Boise is actually the 8th fastest growing city in the United States, while also being one of the best places for millennials to live and also the best places to start a business, according to big researchers such as Business Insider and Niche.com. Not to mention that Forbes ranked the Boise number 6 for job growth. So we're seeing good things here. The top 10 for job growth, population growth, and also for millennials and for people to start a business. And also the mid-year, and this is what really impressed me about Boise, mid-year 2020, right, in the midst of the pandemic and all the stuff that was going on, the US unemployment rate was 11.2%, which, by the way, in 2008, we reached 10%, right, during the duration of the Great Recession. Boise was actually at 5.6% mid-year of 2020. So they were literally almost half of what the national average was for unemployment rate during the pandemic. So again, good things that I see in Boise, Idaho. Not to mention, you have a lot of the California migration heading to Idaho and the greater Boise area. So number 2 is Boise. And last but not least, of course, this state had to include in there, but in my opinion, the best place to invest in the state of Texas is San Antonio, and I'm going to have that as my last but not least number 3 best places for real estate and housing market for 2021. The appreciation rate has been 29.5% since 2015, which puts it in the top 20% of the country. Number 2 fastest growing city in the US. Future job growth over the next 10 years is predicted to be 39.6%, which is higher than the US average of 33.5%, which I think is super solid. Median sales price is $235,000. Again, the national average was $335,000, but the rents are still strong. I was really impressed by San Antonio and how solid their rents were compared to how low their housing prices are. And in my opinion, it's the best place to invest because it's not as competition as cities like Dallas, Houston, and especially Austin. There's a lot of real estate development companies and investment companies that are going to that city. So in my opinion, if you're looking at the top 3 best real estate and housing markets for 2021, we've got Raleigh, North Carolina, Boise, Idaho, and last but not least, we have San Antonio, Texas. Now, here are the most common things that I found with these 3 cities as I was doing my research. Number 1 being is not as much competition for at least for investing purposes, right? So if you're an investor and you're looking for places to invest, I think the secondary markets of these 3 cities that I just mentioned are going to be rock solid in terms of the next 5 to 10 years for investing purposes. I think it's going to help you as opposed to trying to work against it. And for investing purposes also, not to mention, you have pretty solid landlord-tenant laws in pretty much all 3 of these states and all 3 of these cities that I just mentioned. They're going to be fair. They're not going to be very biased like Illinois or California is, where they're pretty much going to pick the side of the tenant every single time. These 3 cities, again, not as much competition, solid growth, and I think you're going to have very, very good and solid landlord-tenant laws. Now, if you're looking to buy a house for residential reasons, to live personally, I think those 3 cities, the commonalities I saw were very low and fair income tax and property tax. So it's not like states like California or Illinois where you're going to be paying $15,000 a year just on real estate taxes, which is ridiculous. These 3 cities, you're going to have very, very low and fair taxes. Not to mention that all 3 cities have phenomenal, relatively speaking to the country, of course, had phenomenal school systems. So it's going to be a very solid place to raise kids. It's going to be a very good place, very neighborly place, very family-oriented place. And not to mention, you have, last but not least, very strong and stable growth. So, if you're moving there, it's going to be very young and exciting. It's going to be good things to come for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, guys, if you think I missed something, or there's another city that you guys want me to check out, or there's another city that you think is gonna be phenomenal for real estate investing and also housing, comment down below what you think that is, and also comment down questions and your overall thoughts. Now, guys, congratulations. You made it to the end of the video. Now, a lot of you guys may not know this, but for the month of December last month, my brother and I did a giveaway where we gave away 3 copies of our book, 0 to 75 Units in 1 year. How we went from 0 to 75 rental doors in literally just 1 year. And we've been giving away 3. We announced last week 1 winner, and we're going to announce winner number 2, which is, drumroll please, David Matheson. So congratulations, David, on your prize, which winners get a signed copy of this book. We pay for shipping, and there's also a free gift inside page 1. May or may not be a gift to Amazon. I'm not sure. I can't tell. But anyways, congratulations again, David. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video for the algorithm. It really helps us out, guys, and really helps us push this video to people who need to see it and who want to see it. So thank you guys again so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.